The War Council chamber fell silent as the holographic display flickered to life, casting blue shadows across the faces of the assembled alien commanders. General Krathix, his 6 eyes narrowing in concentration, studied the tactical map floating before them. The Crimson Valley stretched across the projection, like an open wound 15 kilometers of superheated terrain, patrolled by automated defense systems that had never failed in 3 centuries of warfare. Impossible, Commander Velshi hissed, her serpentine form coiling tighter. No organic being can cross that valley. The heat signatures alone would trigger the automated cannons before they made it 100 meters. The humans disagree, Krathix replied, mandibles clicking in what might have been frustration or respect. He gestured to a data stream scrolling alongside the map. Their forward operating base appeared on the eastern ridge 72 hours ago. Fully operational, fortified. Then they came from the north. The northern pass is under our control. Has been for 6 months. The southern route, mined, monitored, untouched. Velshi's scales rippled with confusion. Then how? Krathix tapped a claw against the hologram, and the image shifted to show grainy surveillance footage. A single figure moved across the valley floor, barely visible through the heat distortion. This was recorded for days ago. We dismissed it as a sensor malfunction. Now we know better. Albie pressed his back against the cool rock, grateful for even a moment's respite from the scorching wind. The rebrother mask felt heavy on his face, but it was all that stood between him and lungs full of caustic vapor. Behind him, stretched across 12 kilometers of hell, lay his footprints already disappearing as the mineral-rich sand shifted and settled. Status report, Corporal. Nova's voice crackled through his earpiece, calm despite the static. 3rd cache retrieved, Lieutenant. Heading to checkpoint 4. Albie allowed himself a small smile. They still don't know I'm here. They know now. Nova replied. Thermal scans just went active across the entire valley. You've got maybe 20 minutes before their pattern recognition algorithms identify you as a target. Albie checked his chronometer. 20 minutes. The 4th checkpoint was 18 minutes away at his current pace. He'd have to move faster, which meant burning through his coolant reserves. Even quicker, the thermal suit he wore was a masterpiece of human engineering, recycling his body heat, storing it in phase change modules, redistributing it to create a dispersed signature that mimicked the ambient temperature variations. But it had limits. Everything had limits. The question was whether his would hold longer than theirs expected. Copy that. Going silent for the run. Albie, Nova's voice softened. Just for a moment, don't be stupid brave. Be smart brave. Isn't that what got me this assignment, ma'am? He could almost hear her eye roll across the encrypted channel. Move your ass, Corporal. We've got 100 people counting on those supply caches. Albie pushed off from the rock and began to run. The alien tactical officers watched in growing disbelief as the thermal signature, impossibly faint, impossibly consistent, continued its path across the valley floor. It moved with purpose, but not in a straight line. Instead, it wove between the worst of the heat vents, timing its movements to coincide with pressure releases that would mask its presence. For precious seconds, it's one soldier, Krathix said slowly, his translator struggling to convey his tone. One human is making fools of our entire defensive grid. Activate the hunter drones. Velshi commanded. Already done. They lost lock 17 times. The human's heat signature keeps fragmenting, dispersing. Our targeting systems are designed for Valorian biology, Thrix physiology, even Mantheri hive clusters. Not this. What is he carrying? A junior officer brought up the mass scanners. Approximately 40 kilos. Possibly supplies, possibly weapons. 40 kilos. Krathix's laugh was a harsh, rattling sound across 15 kilometers of volcanic terrain. In a suit, that must weigh another 20. In heat, that would kill most of our own soldiers in minutes. Humans, Velshi said, and the word carried the weight of a curse and a prayer. Albie's legs screamed. His lungs burned despite the cooled air the rebrother provided. Sweat poured down his face, and he could feel the suit's coolant system struggling, the thermal modules heating beyond their optimal range. The chronometer showed 12 minutes since Nova's warning. Checkpoint 4 was 200 meters ahead, a small cave system that would provide shelter and allow his suit to purge heat. The whine of hunter drones reached his ears. Shit, he muttered, pushing harder. His boot caught on a rock, and he stumbled, one hand slamming into the ground to catch himself. The surface was hot enough to feel through his glove. He forced himself up, forced his legs to keep moving. 150 meters. The drones were closing, their sensors sweeping the valley in overlapping patterns. Albie's suit screamed a proximity warning. They had him in 30 seconds. They'd have a clean targeting solution. He made a decision. Albie ripped open one of the thermal modules on his suit and threw it as hard as he could to his left. The module tumbled through the air, spewing heat in a wild signature that blazed across the drone's sensors like a flare. Every automated system in the valley locked onto it, and Albie ran for the cave. Target destroyed. The tactical officer reported. Confirmed hit on. He paused. Sir, the mass reading was wrong. That was just a component, a decoy. Krathix leaned forward. Then where? The display updated. A new thermal signature appeared on the eastern ridge, emerging from a cave system they'd mapped but dismissed as too small for military use. The signature was calm now, regulated, and it was moving toward the human forward base. He's already across, Krathix said quietly. While we were watching, he was already across. Nova met Albie at the checkpoint perimeter, her expression caught between relief and exasperation. You lost a thermal module. Yeah, Albie shrugged off his pack, wincing at the weight. But I got us 3 weeks of medical supplies, ammunition, and the encryption keys from their supply depot. You were supposed to observe and return. I observed that they had supplies we needed, and I returned. He grinned, exhausted. What did the council say about crossing the valley? Nova's stern expression cracked. They said it was impossible, that no one could cross the valley. Albie looked back across the heat-shimmered expanse, at the alien defensive grid that had stood for 3 centuries, now proven fallible by one human with too much stubbornness and a jerry-rigged thermal suit. Good thing I already had